Hello and welcome to this latest PTI News Insight, which looks into how automation has gone from being the next big thing of the future to a present-day terminal reality. Despite automation securing a dependability and consistency of performance for terminals, there are still many areas of contention in the decision to implement automated practices, be they financial, geographical, or even political. These areas of contention were explored in depth at the recent PTI Terminal Automation and Training Conference, which saw a number of industry figures analyse the pros and cons of terminal automation, as well as articulate their visions for the future of automated practices. As part of our review of the recent PTI conference, we're going to offer the key highlights of each of our 6 sessions, presented in a session-by-session basis. Today, we review Session 1, which featured Neil Davidson of Drury, Olaf Merck of the International Transport Forum, and Ismo Matin-Lowry of Kalmar. Neil Davidson began the day with an outline of the major pros, cons, and misconceptions of automated practices. This was followed by Olaf Merck, who explained how different forms of automation are conducive to different operations, and also commented on the importance of working with, rather than against, unionised labour. Ismo Matin-Lowry of Kalmar concluded the presentations by stating that balance of cost and income should be given prior concern over moves per hour. The presentations gave way to discussion in which our delegates had their questions put to each of the panellists. Olaf Merck began by explaining the relationship between automation and unionised labour and how mutual benefits can mitigate friction.
If unions see that there is an advantage for them as well, of course they're happy to cooperate with that. If the gains of the productivity related to automation are not only in the pocket, let's say, of the terminal operator, but also shared somehow with labor, of course, that is a condition that makes it far more attractive for labor to cooperate.
It's not so easy to get any more skilled labor. I mean, this is not necessarily the attractive job for the future of the young people. So some of the operators say that their turnover is 20–30% annually. So they look automation as reducing the turnover and keeping the skilled part of the employees around.
Neil Davidson then spoke of the likelihood of increased industry collaboration.
What we will see is greater cooperation with shipping lines in investments, because I think the terminal operators will say to themselves, we have to mitigate the risk somehow. We have to get closer to the shipping lines in our developments, and I think that will be a good thing because that will help, obviously, lower the risk, but it will also bring the user much more into the terminal.
Actually, at the core, it is about the processes, the efficiency of the terminal, and automation can only do so much to actually improve it. At the core, basically, what needs to improve is the processes, the collaboration between the different actors.
The debate then went on to the question of financial outlay regarding the implementation of automation.
The initial investment is quite high. I mean, it's a lot of the software, interfaces, this kind of thing. So if you have one block of ASCs or 10–15 blocks, then the first one costs quite a lot. So the threshold to get automated first is quite high. And then there's a limit at the smaller end, what kind of terminal it makes sense. And we have not yet too much exploited that part. Focus has been on the big big automated terminals investment. So.
Next, the debate moved on to the best practices to employ when implementing automation.
The important thing is not to say we want to automate, how do we automate? It's to say we want to improve our processes, or we want to achieve higher capacity, or we want to achieve higher berth performance. How do we achieve that? What is the best way to do that? And then you move on to your appropriate solution based on understanding what you want to achieve.
I think basically you have to be very clear about what you want. What is it actually that is your goal? And automation can be part of that, but also look at other possibilities to actually improve what you want to achieve.
Finally, the debate concluded with a comment from Neil Davidson on the pressure from liner calls.
This whole question of peaks, is absolutely fundamental to the industry right now, and I think it's a crucial issue for everybody involved in the industry. It's probably the single biggest challenge brought about by the mega ships. the reduced service frequency is frightening in terms of the conversion to going to bigger ships. And I think peaks are bad news for manual terminals. They're bad news for automated terminals. Depends which can deal with it best. But I think the place in the terminal where the peak really hurts hardest is the yard. That's where you feel the peak most is the yard. So if automation can help you manage the peak pressure on the yard, then you're getting somewhere, because that's where the pain is felt most hard.
Thank you for watching our Session 1 review. Stay tuned to the PTI website for reviews and highlights of the rest of our sessions coming up shortly.